stop everything you're doing and pay close attention, because what just happened in the United States is shaking the entire nation to its core. Gun sales are skyrocketing like never before, gun stores are reporting record shortages, and all of it is happening right after a shocking and unexpected Supreme Court ruling that nobody saw coming. Was this decision a victory for freedom, a threat to public safety, or the beginning of something much bigger? That's exactly what we're going to uncover today, and trust me, the twist at the end is something you are not ready for. We're talking about a ruling that has both gun rights activists celebrating and gun control advocates sounding the alarm, a decision that may reshape not just the Second Amendment, but the future of how Americans live, vote, and even protect themselves. Is this the start of a new legal war? Will states rebel against federal authority? Will this ruling trigger even more division, or could it spark a national movement? Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel brings you the breakdown others don't want you to hear. And I want you in the comments right now. What's the most shocking part of all this to you so far? The explosion in gun sales, the Supreme Court's bold move, or the political chaos that's starting to unfold? Stay with me until the very end, because the final revelation of this ruling will completely change the way you see what's happening, and it might even force you to pick a side. Let's get into it. 1. Legal shockwaves and the triggering Supreme Court moment. Let's open by addressing the legal earthquake that set off the chain reaction. The Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, decision in March 2025 in Bondi v. Vanderstock, where the court in a 7-2 ruling upheld the federal regulation of so-called ghost guns, unfinished receivers and parts kits that can be readily converted into firearms. That decision sent a shockwave through both sides of the gun rights debate. On the surface, it appears to strengthen regulation, but in fact it served as a signaling event to gun rights advocates that the legal battle lines were being drawn more clearly, making many feel that the era of regulatory uncertainty might be shifting in their favor. The decision clarified that manufacturers of kits must obtain federal licensing, mark serial numbers, and background check purchasers. Yet at the same time, other major pending decisions by the court remain unresolved, and the court's refusal in June 2025 to take up challenges to state assault weapons bans shows that it is no longer rubber-stamping broad regulatory authority. At the same time, lawsuits attacking age limits and carry restrictions are proliferating, and some states are seeing rapid legal reversals of long-standing gun control statutes. In effect, the legal foundation is feeling unstable for both sides. For would-be buyers, this suggested, if regulation might weaken or be overturned in other domains, age restrictions, purchase limits, carrying rights, then now might be the moment to act. For retailers and manufacturers, the message was clear. The uncertainty could mean a surge in demand and a narrowing window of supply. The legal environment thus became not just a matter of rights, but of market psychology and timing. The trigger moment was that ghost gun decision and subsequent court behavior, but the greater story is the signal it sent. The rules of the game are changing. 2. Evidence of a boom in gun sales but also mixed signals. Now let's look at the data and indicators. What are the numbers telling us about gun sales volumes and market behavior? One widely cited source reports that roughly 5.2 million firearms were sold in the U.S. in the first 4 months of 2025, putting the year on pace for a slight drop compared to 2024. So at first glance, that doesn't look like a boom. On the other hand, another recent report shows that in October 2025 alone there were nearly 1.3 million background checks for gun sales, a sign that purchase activity remains high. Yet another source shows that retail firearm unit sales declined 9.6% year-over-year in Q1 2025 and revenue down 11.5%, while some states report double-digit drops in background checks. What that means is complex. The narrative of gun sales explode is partly true, but it depends heavily on geography, type of firearms, and timing. In particular, reports from certain jurisdictions with traditionally strict gun control laws show upticks in interest, suggesting localized surges. Retailers report product shortages, longer lead times, and higher premiums on certain models and accessories. So while national aggregate numbers may not yet reflect a classic explosion, the market psychology, especially among those who believe the legal pendulum may swing their way, is behaving as if an explosion is underway. This dichotomy between headline aggregate data and on-the-ground retailer/supply behavior is crucial. The mindset of fear of missing out, of buy now before regulation changes, is driving behavior even if the macro numbers have not yet fully caught up. For your viewers, this means pay attention not only to national totals, but to regional shifts, supply chain alerts, price premiums, and retail inventory signals. The market may be exploding in pockets, with broader ramifications still unfolding. 3. Legal dominoes. What's already happened and what might happen next. Let's dive into the dominoes in motion. After the landmark 2022 decision New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which reshaped how courts evaluate gun regulation challenges by requiring that any restriction be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation, litigation spiked. Since Bruin, several lower court decisions have invalidated age restrictions. For example, a federal ban on handgun sales to 18 to 20-year-olds was challenged and deemed unconstitutional. Open carry bans have been struck down in states such as Florida, and ammunition regulation in states like California has been overturned in appellate court. Meanwhile, states with stricter laws, such as New Jersey and Connecticut, have had both wins and losses in appeals courts. The court's recent decision to decline review of certain state bans signals that the court may be in no hurry to drastically expand rights in one fell swoop, but it also means that the lower courts are actively reshaping the landscape. For gun buyers and rights advocates, the anticipation of future favorable rulings is driving behavior. For gun control advocates, the fear is that once the next major decision comes, hundreds of existing state laws may collapse. The key point is, legal change is not hypothetical, it is underway. The next big cases involve issues like magazine capacity limits, drug user prohibitions on gun possession, age restrictions, and carry rights in sensitive places. For anyone watching this space, the questions are, will the court approve further sweeping expansions of gun rights? Will states preemptively liberalize in expectation of litigation outcomes? Or will there be a regulatory backlash that tightens law in response to rising gun purchases? All of these scenarios matter for the gun market surge. The legal dominoes are real, they are being knocked over, and they signal change. 4. Who's buying, why they're buying, understanding market motivations. Beyond the legal and data landscapes, there's the human behavior dimension. Who is entering the market, and what's motivating them now? We're seeing multiple buyer cohorts, long-time firearm owners who are upgrading or adding to their collection in anticipation of regulatory shifts, first-time buyers who feel heightened insecurity or sense that now is the moment to act, new demographics such as women and minorities showing faster growth in ownership, and speculators/investors who believe that scarcity and regulatory uncertainty will drive up future resale values. On the now is your chance front, states where purchase frequency limits or age thresholds may be overturned see rising panic buys. Often buyers say aloud things like, if they change the law, I want to buy now under today's terms. Similarly, dealers are reporting that accessories, optics, ammunition, and even training courses are selling bundled, suggesting full system purchases rather than incremental. The significance here is twofold. The surge is driven by expectation of future regulatory change as much as by current demand, and the market ecosystem, guns plus accessories plus training plus storage solutions, is responding accordingly. For your audience, it's important to recognize that this isn't just about guns flying off shelves, it's about strategic behavior, timing, and belief in future legal/regulatory shifts. That creates momentum, and momentum fuels more momentum. 5. Broader implications: public safety, politics, industry, and policy. The spike, or anticipated spike, in gun sales isn't just a retail story. It has deep implications for public policy, politics, and public safety. Politically, gun control advocates warn that higher gun ownership rates increase risks of misuse, diversion into illicit markets, and long-term normalization of firearms in society. Some law enforcement agencies express concern about training, safe storage compliance, and tracking of firearms when volume surges rapidly. Industry-wise, more buyers mean more revenue opportunities, but also pressure on supply chains, pricing, and regulatory exposure. Manufacturers may push for fewer restrictions and see the current moment as a business opportunity. Conversely, they may face increased scrutiny and potential liability if incident rates climb. Public policy-wise, states may respond by either doubling down on stricter regulation or shifting towards looser regimes if litigation forces their hand. The interplay of politics, regulation, and commerce means that gun sales behavior is both a cause and a consequence of broader dynamics. For your viewers, the key takeaway is, this boom potentially alters the very landscape of gun ownership, societal risk, and regulation for years to come, not just weeks. 6. What's next? Scenarios, risks, opportunities, and strategic takeaways. Finally, let's look ahead. What should we watch? What might happen next? And what does this mean for someone considering a purchase, observing the trend, or simply trying to understand the consequences? First, watch for major upcoming court decisions. Cases on magazine capacity limits, possession by drug users, age-related restrictions, and carriage in public spaces could dramatically alter the terrain. Second, state legislatures may act proactively either to liberalize or to reinforce regulation. Changes might come faster than anticipated. Third, supply chain and pricing pressure. If demand surges and manufacturers ramp production, we may see lead times, price premiums, and aftermarket markups. Fourth, used gun market impacts. As more firearms enter circulation, the resale market may experience a flood, or alternatively certain models may appreciate if future regulation tightens. Fifth, for individuals. If you're considering buying, now may present a window of opportunity, but also ensure you understand safe storage, training, liability, and local law, because more guns means more scrutiny. Sixth, the broader societal risk. If ownership jumps without commensurate infrastructure for safe possession, storage, and tracking, the likelihood of unintended consequences rises. In short, the cascade we see now is only the beginning. The next few months could determine whether this moment becomes a long-term paradigm shift in America's relationship with firearms, or a temporary spike before regulation or demand resets. For you as a viewer, stay alert, stay informed, and consider not only what people are buying, but why, how, and what next. Keep watching, because the final revelation is not yet fully visible and it could change everything. If this video woke you up, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next update on this gun law battle could drop any moment. Now tell me in the comments, what shocked you the most? The sales spike, the Supreme Court move, or what's coming next? I'm reading every comment. Stay sharp, stay subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.